Hey guys, how you doing? It's been a long time, huh? Well, my apologies, but I had to take a few personal months off. But hey, I'm back. And a lot of shit happened in the last few months. But first, I'd like to talk about the infamous Bangalore, quote unquote mass molestation. I know, it happened like a month ago. Whole news, but I had one or two guys ask me to speak about this particular incident, and like the ass I am, I agreed. To make things clear, Bengaluru and Bangalore basically the same city, just two different names. I'm going to call it Bangalore because that's what I'm used to. That's what I've been calling it all my life. I'm not going to change it. So let's get into it, shall we? Now after the New Year's party in Bangalore, articles came out in almost every single media outlet titled Bangalore's Night of Shame or Mass Molestation on New Year's night, and everybody went batshit crazy as expected, with some even saying that this was orchestrated molestation attack. I mean, come on. Uh, Any celebrities came out with their usual misandric propaganda. Guys like Akshay Kumar and I think it was Madhavan. Yeah, whatever. They're asking men to respect women and man up and save women when they're in danger. Stop being perverts and yeah, the usual bullshit. You know what it is. I don't need to actually explain it to you. Reports came out on Twitter stating that they had found evidence of women being groped. The key word here is women. Let's have a look at the video, shall we, of the evidence that they found. Okay, so what did the video show? It showed two men manhandling one woman. While this is a deplorable act, it shows no evidence of mass molestation. This was evidence of one isolated incident in the city. I have no idea how one woman being abused translates into evidence of mass molestation, but hey, that's the media and the cops for you. Soon after, another case came up in the city. This was about uh, a man who molested a woman in a burqa, and she had lips that were cut, and I think her tongue was cut as well. There were pictures online. And cases started slowly piling up, but only one of them had credible evidence. And those men were arrested fairly, and justice is soon to be done. Now let's talk about the mass molestation first. Now, cops investigated the case, and lo and behold, no evidence of mass molestation was found in the footage. They took footage from 60 different cameras, CCTV cameras, and they still didn't find any evidence. According to the police, the images of women crying on shoulders of police women and friends were not linked to incidents of molestation, but reactions to stampede when the police resorted to a lathi charge to control the crowd in the city. So lathi charge is basically riot control. All in all, what people termed as molestation was just an unruly crowd. So it got me thinking, why was this termed as mass molestation? Why did the media just come out the next day stating they saw a lot of women being molested and women crying and all that sort of shit? So I have a theory about it. Now, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm open to criticism. I might well be wrong, but hey, I'm throwing it out there. If you want to correct me, please do. I'll take that as constructive criticism. So go ahead. Um, this is a study done by Taylor and her colleagues. They argue that due to differences in parental investment, females may have evolved their own stress response in order to protect themselves. The male fight or flight response would not have been advantageous to the survival of females and their offspring, because often the female would either be unable to fight or flee during pregnancy, or unable to protect their young if they were nursing or taking care of their young. evolutionarily, the tend and befriend stress response in females would have been selected for, and the fight or flight response would have been selected against in females. Now, so I'll just talk a little bit about the tend and befriend stress response. So unlike fight or flight response, which is usually seen in males, which allows one to fight against a threat if overcoming the threat is likely, or flee, that is flight, if overcoming the threat is unlikely. The tend and befriend response is characterized by tending to young in times of stress and befriending those around to increase the likelihood of survival in times of stress. So a group is more likely than an individual to overcome a threat. This response is a protective mechanism for both the female and her offspring. So basically, befriending is inherently necessary for the protection of the offspring, since pregnancy and nursing make a female even more vulnerable to an outside threat. So what they do is they form a network which not only allows the female to have added protection and help with the raising of offspring, but also serves to secure resources such as housing and food. Now, although the threats mentioned are usually assumed to be external to the female home environment, this female network also serves to protect the females from other males as well in the home environment. So tend and befriend may manifest when women are faced with an immediate adversity in them calling for help, and I believe men who respond to this have been selected for as they were seen as the protector. Think about this. When someone hears a woman screaming, our instinct is usually to go towards that particular scream, unlike when we hear a man screaming. So I think a woman's scream is more likely to be seen as a call of help because there is possibly a child who is also in danger. That's what our limbic wiring tells us. But a man's scream is seen as a sign of aggression. I'm not talking about analyzing a scream, I'm talking about our limbic response to a particular scream. Now, throughout our evolutionary past, it would have been better to overreact to a threat than to underreact to a threat to a woman. An overreaction would not bring harm to the woman and the child she could have possibly been nurturing, while an underreaction could have put them in extreme danger. So men would have been selected for to assist women during stress and women to call out for help. Now that night, coming back to that night in Bangalore, the crowd got unruly and a stampede ensued. What followed was men trying to fight or run away. The simple fight or flight instinct in men, in response to that particular stress. Women, however, relied on the tend and befriend model, so they gave in to the instinct to call for help, which is the only possible thing they could do here because they did not have a child to tend to. So the befriend model comes in, they look for help from men around them, men that they knew, or the cops who were supposed to be protecting them. When hearing the call for help from women, some men would have become the protector, because that's another thing that would have been selected for. You see men trying to help, and get women to safety. Now, what onlookers see in the end is women screaming and crying, looking for help, while men are either trying to fight or run, if not helping females. Add to this that more often than not, men are looked upon as actors and women as objects. It's perceived by onlookers as women being victims and men being perpetrators of whatever people think women were crying and screaming for. The first thing that people go to is someone, should have done something to women for these women to cry. And it must be the men, and the narrative fits almost perfectly with their limbic wiring. They parrot that line in the media with little evidence to back it up. So when people finally realized there is no evidence to back it up, people started thinking about what are the other possibilities. Now that's how the cops or the police went about it. There were men who were beaten, robbed, and hurt too in the same incident. But who cares about that, right? It was an unruly crowd, and it had nothing to do with mass molestation. If you ask me if I think that there wasn't a single person molested in the crowd, I'll say, well, there might have been cases. There probably would have been cases where such incidents occurred, but because, there are men who commit such acts. I never have and will never deny that fact. But to call an unruly crowd and stampede a mass molestation is outright false. Moving on to the other incident where the woman was allegedly molested in the other report, the one of the hijab that I was talking about, it was found that it was staged. The article reads, according to Hemant Nimbalkar, who was the Assistant Commissioner of Police, the police have nabbed the accused Irshad Khan, who got married to the victim's sister. So the accused has confessed to police during the interrogation that he was in love with his sister-in-law for the last 3 years and wanted to marry her, but family members wanted to arrange her marriage with the other person. He told the police that he and his sister-in-law enacted a molestation drama to get sympathy from family members. He also thought that it would enable him to marry his sister-in-law without any hassles. So there you go, another staged incident. A mass molestation that never happened, a genuine case in which the culprits were nabbed, so justice done, and a staged drama of molestation. But here's the thing, the damage has been done. It's like a stain that never goes away no matter how many times you wash it. Men were labeled as monsters, as usual by the media, and the majority of the people in the country, and pretty much all over the world. It feeds the feminist machine more than ever. And the new budget was released recently for, welfare of women and children under various schemes across ministries. The government has stepped up allocation from 156,000 crores to 184,000 crores. So remember that even though children are included in the name, it mostly goes to females, whether children or adults. As the article goes on to say, the finance minister, Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas, begins with girls and women. Women, girls, females, the fairer sex, and, if only we were not so obsessed with women, we would have created such a better world for ourselves. Anyway, guys, that's about it for today. Glad to be back. I'm live every Saturday night, 1:30 Indian time, 1:30 a.m. Indian time. So that's technically Sunday 1:30. So it's Saturday night, Sunday morning. Technicalities. So it's on Staying Free MGTOW's channel. We're talking shit with fellow MGTOWs, and it's hosted by Staying Free itself. The chats are posted on his channel after the live chat. The link to his channel is in the description, and subscribe to him if you can, so you can catch his live. Also, a shout out to Pirik Victor, whose channel is definitely worth checking out. The link to his channel is also in the description. So, till next time, guys.